Hello everyone, welcome to Story Time with Ms Laurie, and we're reading The Secret of the Hidden Scrolls. We are on chapter 7, and you'll remember in chapter 6 that they saw the first word on the scroll, and they found out that the first word, they have 3 words to reveal, and the first word is God. So let's see what we find out in chapter 7, Swimming with the Dolphins. It sure is quiet. Peter took a big bite of banana for breakfast. That's true, said Mary. I haven't heard any crickets chirping at night or any birds singing in the morning. Peter looked around at the ground and the sky. Now that you mention it, I haven't seen any bugs or birds or animals at all. Mary looked around too. I'm glad there are no bugs, but I do miss the birds. Let the waters be filled with fish and great creatures of the sea, and let the sky be filled with birds, said the big voice across the ocean and through the trees. The waters filled with swimming and jumping and diving creatures from shoreline to deep, dark ocean. The sky is filled with colorful, flapping wings, and soaring songs echoed through the trees. The land and sea became alive. Be fruitful and multiply to fill the water and the sky, said the big voice to his new world of life. I didn't know that birds and fish could do math. Peter grinned at his sister. I think multiply means to have babies, said Mary seriously. I know, Peter rolled his eyes. I was joking. Besides, they might be able to add and subtract, but there is no way they could multiply. Mary paid no attention to him. Her face was turned towards the sky. Look at all the amazing birds. I've never seen so many colors and sizes. Peter pointed high in the sky. Look at that huge bird way up there. Hank looked up and barked and turned in circles. That's not a bird, said Mary. That's Michael. It sure is getting lively down here. Michael landed on the ground beside them. Congratulations on translating the first word on the scroll. Where have you been since yesterday? Asked Peter. I have been trying to find Satan, the great enemy, said Michael. I know he is up to something, but I'm not sure what it is. Some people say he has horns and forked tail, but I read that isn't true. Mary put her hands on her hips like she was always did when she was about to ask a serious question. So what does he look like? He could look like many different things, said Michael. He could look like anybody or anything. So how will we know him? Asked Peter. You will know him by his lies. He will try to trick you with lies and turn you against God. It is best if you all stay together. It can be dangerous if you are alone. Don't worry, we will, said Mary. Remember, you will know Satan by his lies. Peter spread his wings and flew away. I'm a little worried, said Mary. What if we get tricked and don't solve the scroll in time? Don't worry, said Peter. You heard Michael. If we stay together, everything will be okay. Mary still looked worried. I sure hope you're right. Let's go down to the beach and see all the new sea creatures, said Peter. Okay, and maybe we'll find a clue, said Mary. Peter ran down to the beach. He couldn't believe his eyes. He saw colorful fish, seahorses, starfish, turtles, and even whales. When he saw something that took his breath away. Look at all those dolphins jumping in the air, he shouted. I read that a fully grown dolphin can jump 25.5 feet out of water, said Mary. Let's get in the water and swim with them. I don't think we can swim with the dolphins, said Mary. Why not, said Peter. They do at the water park. But we aren't trained, said Mary. Peter ignored her. He jumped into the water and swam to the dolphins. When he looked back, Mary was still standing on the shore, looking nervous. He grinned. She might be smarter than him, but she wasn't as brave. Finally, she jumped in, but no Hank. He was too busy chasing birds on the beach. The dolphins were very friendly. Peter swam and laughed and played tag with them. Mary petted one of the dolphins on the head and made squeaking sounds to communicate with them. Peter heard Hank bark. He looked up and saw how far out he was in the deep water. Then he saw something else, shark fins circling around them and the dolphins. Suddenly, Peter didn't feel so brave. Maybe they just want to play, said Mary. I don't want to wait to find out, said Peter. Quick, grab the fin of one of the dolphins and let's get out of here. Peter grabbed the fin of the biggest dolphin. Mary grabbed the fin of the fastest dolphin. Peter shouted for them to swim and the dolphins took off. They were fast. The only problem was that the dolphins were swimming in different directions. Peter's dolphin ran straight for the shore, but Mary's dolphin swam out to sea. Peter stood on the beach and shouted, but it didn't help. Mary's dolphin kept swimming. The sharks kept following, and then they were gone. Peter looked around and spotted the boat that Michael had used to rescue them. He pulled it into the water. Hank and Peter jumped into the boat, and off they went. He had to rescue Mary. They had to stay together. The waves were rough, but Peter kept rowing. They made it past the waves and shouted and barked for Mary, but there was no answer. Peter kept rowing. His arms were getting tired and his hands were hurting. It was hopeless. Peter worried that he would never find Mary. He was afraid he couldn't solve the secret of the scroll by himself. And even if he could, what would happen to Mary? "It is good," said the big voice of the day as the day ended and darkness covered the water. "How can it be good when Mary is missing?" said Peter. When he was too tired to row any longer, he drifted off to sleep in the boat. Ooh, and that ends chapter 7. So we don't know what is going to happen to Mary. Do you think Peter's going to find Mary? I sure hope so. We'll find out in chapter 8.